Welcome back to Out of Left Field. Art and sports mix all the time. Think of the Philly Special in Super Bowl 52, Michael Jordan's last shot with the Bulls in the '98 finals, the Jordan statue in Chicago, the Rocky statue in Philly. Okay, that's sports/entertainment and art, but you get my drift. Let's stay in that frame of mind as we take a look at the latest work of art just steps away from the Huey McGeehan Gymnasium at the Hazleton Area High School. If you've attended a sporting event at the Hazleton Area High School recently, chances are you've walked past these two pieces of art by Salvador Di Fazio. Knowledge and the Olympian are part of 4 total works by Di Fazio that line the school's campus. Each work of art tells a story that Di Fazio is happy to say is open to interpretation. Along with each work of art, there's a plaque that holds its own narrative. These stories aren't as easy to conjure while looking at the art, but the one we're about to tell is just as interesting as this twirling, burning, eternal flame in Di Fazio's latest work. Fred Small hailed from Altoona, Pennsylvania, and Marilyn Burkett from Shenandoah. That's where her parents, Morris and Siddell, had a store. Morris Men's Shot.
My grandfather got pushed out of Russia, Kiev, to Ukraine. The family would send him in the woods at 6 and 7, 8 years old to see if the army was coming to slaughter the family. So he had one child, my mom, had the clothing store in Shenandoah. My parents and grandparents always wanted their kids to have a better life. We lived a good life growing up. Everything was great, a lot of love. We loved family, loved God. But it was all a sacrifice for the next generation.
William Small owns his own business, Holistic Wealth Planning, and many of his clients are from the Hazleton area. He lives in Florida but comes back to Pennsylvania a lot. During one of those visits, he was getting work done on his back by an artist who also does deep muscle therapy.
Well, it was simply a discussion about the sculptures that are at the high school, the fact that they've all been donated by business people in the area, people who have been successful and feel that they wanted to put something back into the community. So we were talking about that, and he said, well, and when I explained that I was doing the Olympian for the Olympic year, at the high school, something I had started long ago, never finished, and thought, well, it's another Olympic year, it's time to do that. He offered to donate it in honor of his parents and grandparents.
Art speaks to people in different ways. This is obviously personal for you, but when you see that there, and what do you see when you're looking at it?
I just think of mom and dad, and I think of my grandparents. The love, they never judge anyone. They'd give you the last $10 in their pocket, wouldn't ask what you're using it for. And I just think of the opportunity that Sal came up with, that I could sponsor it. And we drove by it today on the way here. Just a big smile.
Small seemed a bit cold when he got to our studio for this interview. I found out it wasn't just because he's become acclimated to the climate down south. Do you hope it inspires others to maybe pay that forward and carry it on and say, hey, I hope this story, this art, whatever it speaks to you, I hope me talking now inspires someone in the area to maybe give back?
I hope it does, because I have on the front page of the Holistic Wealth Planning website, one of the things is do random acts of kindness with nothing expected in return. Like today, I took the winter coat, I gave it to somebody from a homeless shelter that was collecting things. Any little thing you could do.
So that's one thing you can take away when you're looking at the Olympian and its small dedication stone. But the piece obviously has a tie to sports, so let's keep gazing.
I think people fail to realize the importance of sports in people's lives and how that does transfer. For instance, this year's Olympic team. There was a young woman who graduated from Harvard in pursuing a career in the medical field, but she also managed to work hard enough to win the 200 meters. I watched the gymnastics teams. This is another aspect, but again, the idea of learning to work together as a group and so on. If you watched the male gymnastic team, the female gymnastic team, what did we see? We saw people from different backgrounds, we saw African Americans, Asians, Anglo-Saxons, all working together on the same team. I found that interesting because if you looked at the Chinese team, they all looked alike. If you looked at the German team, they all looked alike. If you look at the American team, it was the American melting pot. You don't see color, you don't see ethnic background, you see a team. And so that's true for sports, and it should also carry over in education. Again, looking at both together.
This is Dante Calabria, a former basketball national champion at the University of North Carolina. He's also a former international professional basketball player and most recently a coach in the Italian Professional League. We'll talk art with him in a moment, but first let's find out how he connects to this story.
I was coaching at Kaiser University in West Palm Beach in Florida, with Rolly Massimino actually. And all these guys would come in the mornings and play basketball, 6 a.m. So I figured, you know what, I'll start playing. And one of them was William. And he had a Rasheed Wallace Simon Gratz jersey on. And Rasheed was one of my teammates for 2 years in North Carolina. So I asked him, I said, hey, why are you wearing that? Do you know Rasheed? He's like, no, that's one of my teammates. And that just spurred something on. We started getting coffee together, became really good friends. And fast forward, I knew his mom and dad, spent a lot of time with them down there in Florida.
The sport has brought Calabria all over the world, from Italy and other European countries to Africa to Asia, and here to Hazel Township for this art dedication ceremony.
One of my favorite cities in Italy is Florence, and one of it is because of the architecture of the building. It's a university city. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm an expert or anything, I'm not, but I really enjoy Florence for the architectural aspects of buildings, older city. As far as the sports with the art, I mean, really when you watch some of these guys that are participating, it is kind of like art. Yeah. The movements and things like that, but overall, I mean, you always see the monument of Michael Jordan in Jumpman. So it does combine.
Calabria says art wasn't part of his everyday life here in America, and he really didn't get interested in it until he moved to Europe in his 20s. It's interesting he says this because
I talked to Dante, who spent a lot of time in Italy and, you know, coaching a team in Florence. Florence has a lot of artwork. Northeastern Pennsylvania doesn't have that much. New York doesn't need one of my artworks, even though they have one at St. John Divine's. But we could use it here. So I think it's more important for me to devote my time to seeing things here that help the community as opposed to getting lost in the shuffle somewhere else.
When I look at the Olympian, I see a person fighting their way through the flame to glory, and part of that explanation is inspired by William Small. He plays basketball pretty much every day of his life. Small caught COVID from his father right before he passed away and went on to suffer with effects from the disease for over 2 years, keeping him far from the basketball court. How much did it mean to you when you were able to play basketball again?
I was in tears because for 2.5 years I didn't leave the apartment except once a week. I'd go get some lunch. My girlfriend would drag me out. If Dante would come in or Reggie McElroy, the old NFL vet, we'd take a walk. They'd be holding me up by their arm under me. I mean, and I'd pass out or black out. So me on the court, even today, I'm smiling like I hit the lottery. It's just, I'm blessed to be playing, and you make a shot, you make it. If you miss, hopefully you get the rebound, but it's just great to be out there and great to be playing again.
So that's a little explanation behind the Olympian. And remember, that's not even the entire story. Take a good look. What do you see? Well, I had fun. I hope you had fun. To have a real blast, head over to ssptv.com and check out past episodes of Out of Left Field. Until next time, take it easy, everyone.